Greetings and welcome to Chant A Psalm A Day. Today's psalm is 125. Before I begin, I want to ask that my meditation and my words are acceptable. May the meditation of my heart and the words of my mouth be acceptable to the Most High. Jah, Rastafari, Selassie the First, Jesus Christ, Yeshua, Jesus, Black Jesus. Okay, the name Jesus has been imaged. There's an image representing of that, and that's why the Most High spoke of calling on a new name, because when you call on this new name, you're renewed. Because the old name has old things attached to it. And I'm not telling anybody to go call on the new name. And that's the name you call. That is the name above all names. You are going to find your relationship with the Most High and the name to call. I know we are calling the names that our grandmothers called and our grandmother's grandmother called. However, we have to realize that these generational curses cannot be broken until we are renewed into the righteousness of the Most High and that new name. So, some people don't like change. They want to stay in a stagnation. And it's fine because ignorance is bliss. And it's blissful to be staying in a state of ignorance. And it's, that's where people want to be, and that's where they want to be. I am not going to force anyone into believing or knowing the historical implications of the names that they're calling. They have to find that out. And I just ask the Most High to show them. That's it. I just request that they are shown the truth and the light and the way. So there is some issues that I want to bring up today in this Chant A Psalm. This is Psalm 125, and it's titled, "The Lord Surrounds His People." I take out the pronouns, Lord and His. Jah, Jehovah, the Almighty Most High, surrounds Jah people, God's people. God surrounds God's people. Jah surrounds Jah people. Jesus surrounds Jesus' people. Okay, Selassie First, Rastafari surrounds Jah people. So, in looking at this psalm today, like as I said earlier, may the meditation of my heart and the words of my mouth be acceptable to the Most High. It may not be acceptable to mankind, but I'm asking that it's acceptable to the Most High. As I look up, that is where we are looking to the Most High. Up to the hills. I lift my eyes up to the hills. You're not down. We have, and I get into a debate with pastors and theologians about bowing our heads and closing our eyes in prayer. And Kenyatta mentioned it, that this is what happened. Your eyes are closed and you're in prayer, you're praying, and when you wake up, you have the Bible, but they have your land. So when we talk about land, I want to really hit home on a subject that is going to echo in this psalm today. Psalm 125. The Most High surrounds the Most High's people. And the reason I take out pronouns, because it could be her people. It could be, a female as well. So we have this patriarchal Bible, and it's, lots of people are turned off by that. So I'm coming to translate so that you don't be turned off by reading the scripture, but reading it in an empowerment and in a relationship that you're building for yourself and the Most High. But I want to touch on something today because it's very important. We have war going on all over the world. There's war all over. However, we don't hear about the war in the mainstream media about certain places or certain people. Everybody knows there's a war in Ukraine and then Israel and Ukraine, they're in this war. It's just blasted all over the mainstream media. However, there is war in Sudan, Africa. People are being killed. People are being tortured. People are being human trafficked out of these places where Black people, the color of your skin is marginalizing you into these places of vulnerability. And the United States, I don't know what help they have given to Sudan, okay? But we need to make light, and we need to shed light on that issue. What is going on in Sudan? The U.S. Embassy, what's happening? Why are these individuals doing this? I was in an Uber the other day with a Sudanese man, and we were in a conversation, and he mentioned that him and his sons had to flee out of Sudan. He drove from Sudan to Egypt for 25 days. He drove his car, sold his car to try to get money to come to the U.S. He came to the U.S. Because a friend, is in the U.S., and that's how he came here. But this is happening. He had to cover his children's eyes. He has a 16-year-old and a 14-year-old, 13-year-old son. He had to cover their eyes as they're driving and seeing bodies in the road, dead. And dogs are starting to eat off of these dead bodies. This is just, I understand what it is. It's a racial situation because these are Black people. These are not white Ukrainians or the fake Israelis. When I say fake Israelis, I'm talking about that nation that stole the identity of Jews from the Falasha Jews. And I have nothing against any nation, anyone. I just feel that there is no justice for Black people in this world, especially in the US of A. And when we talk about the United States going and helping these nations, they're not helping these African nations because they're in there sucking up the gold, sucking up the all the treasures of Africa and dividing it among themselves. So this gentleman was talking to me and mentioned that the gold is being stored up and Russia is, getting some of the gold. When I heard this, I said, Russia isn't, I said, oh my goodness, what is happening in Sudan? What is happening in these countries of Africa? Why are they doing this? Why? And I had to come on here today to mention and to use this psalm to help, even if I can send a word out to the Most High. The Most High already knows the stuff, the corruption has gotten into the nostrils of the Most High. So let's dive into this psalm. Please subscribe to this channel so you can get notifications, because I'm going to keep you up to date on what's going on in this world that the mainstream media fails to talk about. Just like the two hurricanes, Maria and Irma, that hit the Virgin Islands. The mainstream media refused to talk about the Virgin Islands. They refused to talk about the Virgin Islands in terms of it being hit. They talked about the hurricane is heading to Florida after it done hit the Virgin Islands. The Virgin Islands is U.S. It's a U.S. territory. However, the people are black. So once in America, in the US, you are black, you are a nation of black people, an island of black people, you're going to be marginalized. And it's going to create a corruption where the good folks are going to put their hands into corruption because that's just what the system perpetuates. And it perpetuates this crab in a bucket where people are clamoring to get to the top at the expense of their brother and sister. And this is what's happening with the war in Sudan. So let's look at 125. This is a song of ascents. And in Psalm 125, it's only 5 verses, so it's going to be really quick. And the word of the day is prosperity, believe it or not. That's the word of the day. Prepare. The word of the day is prepare. It was prosperity a couple of days ago, yesterday, I believe. So the word of the day is prepare. Prepare I mind and heart for righteous renewal. What did I just mention? Renewing yourself. Get out of this stagnation. Okay? I respect the name Jesus. However, we have to be born again into this new name so we can break these generational curses. Like, come on. You have somebody telling you this, but you're not adhering, you're not allowing the Most High to reveal to you these revelations of renewal. So in the word of the day is prepare. So let's dive into the Psalm of the day. 125. It starts off with those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be moved, but abides for all time to come. Let's unpack that and translate that. So when I trust in the Most High, right? When you trust in the Most High, and not just, surface trust, but internal trust. Trusting your heart, trusting that inside of you that is the Most High, that dwells inside of you. So there's nothing outside of you that can make you happy. The world makes you think so. There's nothing outside of you that can give you the love and kindness and compassion that you're going to be seeking. You're going to be hurt by things on the outside. So armor up yourself, build yourself in the Most High, in Christ, kingly character, the, Melchizedek, the priest. You want to build yourself up, clothe yourself with righteousness, because that is part of trust. When you trust someone, you allow yourself to be vulnerable when you trust someone, right? So when you trust in the Most High, you are being vulnerable with the Most High. However, you're being as Mount Zion. And Mount Zion is solid like a rock. It is a fortress. It is righteousness built in, like totally. There's no wrongness. There's no war, killing, murder, all of this stuff, violence. Mount Zion doesn't have that. It is solid and it can't be moved. But it's going to live for all time to come. After this YouTube is over, this is going to keep on. Righteousness is going to cover the earth as the water cover the seas. So get on the righteous train. Get on the Zion train. So trust in the Most High as Mount Zion. And then in verse 2, as the mountains surround Jerusalem, so the Most High surrounds the Most High's people from this time forth and forevermore. So this psalm is going out to the people in Sudan. Okay? It's going out to the people in Sudan, the people in any place that is war torn, And who suffers from war? Children, women, and children. That's what I saw on the video. Go look up war in Sudan, and you will see a woman, black as ever, with a baby, okay, holding, and that's the collateral damage when when we have war. That is the collateral damage. So when we talk about surrounding, the Most High is surrounding the Most High's people. These are the Most High's people, the people who are oppressed, the people who are vulnerable and marginalized and cannot defend themselves against this Goliath. I call on the Most High to rescue the people of Sudan and give them pause. Give them hope that it's going to be okay, that their children will not have to suffer, that babies don't have to starve, that food is dropping from the sky, from the UN. Just because in America that's not happening doesn't mean it's not happening over the world. I weep for the people of Sudan. I weep for them. And I asked that this psalm reaches all the way to Sudan, all the way to someone who can listen and hear it and be appreciative of that. I call on all people all over the world to give a moment of silence for the people of Sudan. Please. I was so outraged when a man from Sudan was telling me his experience. I was outraged. I couldn't believe that. And then children are seeing this. They're going to be traumatized for the rest of their lives because of what they are witnessing. People on the street that have passed away, bodies are just thrown into the, just left there for days and days and months. It's horrible. It is horrible. All because of greed. People are suffering. So when we look at verse 2, and I don't apologize for weeping. I'm not going to say I'm sorry, because I'm not. I'm not sorry for being to have a heart inside of me that is bleeding for the people of Sudan, that's bleeding for the people all over who are suffering and being collateral damage for these patriarchal wars. So the psalm is describing the mountain that surrounds Jerusalem, okay? And it's using that as a reference of how the Most High is going to surround the Most High's people, children and families. So this psalm is comforting me to know that it's going to be okay, and that the Most High is going to surround the people of Sudan. And I'm specifically speaking to these people of Sudan because they're marginalized, because their color of their skin. They're not white Ukrainians or white Israelis. They're black Sudanese. And the country is rich with gold. It's rich with resources, and they're being pummeled. They're being snatched up. People are being trafficked from these places. And it's just this, it's bigger than what we think. We may look at, the powers and principalities as, being, conservative folks, but there are folks out there who have the power that are using it to do nefarious activities. And because they're in that position, they're able and allowed to do that and get away. And people like me who talk about it, or who, are bringing it to the light, are silenced. So I am reaching out. I'm calling out to everyone. Do not be silent. Share these videos of Sudan. Call the White House. Call the U.S. Embassy of Sudan. Call the U.S. Embassy of Ethiopia, Kenya, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. These places where there's riches, so many are being targeted, and they're being targeted, and who ends up suffering? The civilians. They're collateral damage in the whole situation. So when we look at Psalm 125 verse 2, the Most High is going to surround the Sudanese people from this time forth and forevermore. I speak it into existence. Surround the Sudanese women and children. And I have been on a mission. I want to go to Africa, to Ethiopia specifically, to work with the orphanages, to create child developments, child growth centers, child growth centers where women and children can come to for health, education, anything, counseling, businesses, starting their own businesses. It's a center, a child and family center in these places. I want to build them all over the world and train child care workers, train early childhood workers to support children and families. So it's a big goal. It's a big mission to build all over the world these centers, just like you have McDonald's all over the world. You have KFC all over the world. Why can't we build a place all over the world to help people? Is that so hard to do? So if McDonald's and all these fast food places can be built up in these countries, we can go and build child development, child care centers in these countries. So verse 3, and I highlighted verse 3. Verse 3, for the scepter of wickedness, that's causing all these wars in Sudan. Okay, the wicked people, the wickedness that is hurting children, women and children in Sudan, okay, shall not rest on the land allotted to the righteous, lest the righteous stretch out their hands to do wrong. So something is going wrong here. Something is going wrong. And that's what I'm telling you from the Psalm yesterday, talking about bribes. This is what's going on in these countries. People are getting bribed. They don't want to get killed. And if you try to save your life, you're going to lose it. But if you put your life out there for righteousness, you're going to be not going to lose it, right? And the righteous is stretching out their hands to do wrong. And this land that's allotted to the righteous, it's a war. It's a war. But the scepter of wickedness, this wickedness is not going to rest on the land allotted for the righteous. It's not. Unless the righteous stretch out their hands to do wrong. I'm not saying this is what the Psalm says. So verse 4 now is speaking to the righteous, speaking, because the wicked is wicked from the time they come out the womb. They're wicked, okay? This is what is written. From the time they come out the womb, they're wicked because they're surrounded by wickedness. So verse 4, do good. Surah Dokhna, do good, O Jah, to those who are good, and to those who are upright in their hearts. So good is going to come to you when you do good. When you do good, good is going to come to you. So when something bad happens, don't look at outside of yourself. Look at what you did. Look at what you did. Don't look outside of yourself. Oh, Peter did that to me, or Jane did that to me. No, you did that to yourself. Nobody is doing anything to you but you. When you surround yourself with wickedness, when you raise your children up around wickedness, this is what you're teaching them, and hopefully they will rise up out of the wickedness and go to righteousness. Sometimes you're teaching and surrounding your child with righteousness, and they end up going into wickedness. So it's a fine line, and it is exactly what the scripture says, that the wicked has been born. They've been wicked from the womb. So then no matter what you do, they're going to be lying. Okay? They lie for little things. Oh, did you take the garbage out? Yeah. No, you didn't. Did you do this? Yeah. They lie for little tiny things. So if someone's lying for little things, what are they going to lie? When the big things come, what are they're going to lie? They're putting the righteous and stretching out their hands to wrongness. What is wrongness? Lying, cheating, stealing, killing, murdering. That's wrong. But we have righteous people who are stretching out their hands to do these things. So when we talk about the scepter of wickedness shall not rest on the land allotted to the righteous. What is allotted? That's been given. That's been given to the righteous. It's not going to rest on the land that's been given to the righteous, lest the righteous stretch out their hands to do wrong. So in verse 4, do good. Do good, O Jah, to those who are good, and to those who are upright in their hearts. However, those who turn aside to their crooked ways, which is what war is. When you are initiating a war in a country, there is crookedness going on. One person wants to dominate. There's one person wants control. This regime wants that. This one wants this piece of land. This one, and it becomes a war because of crookedness, crooked ways. Okay? So the Most High is speaking in verse 4 to do good. Do good to, O Most High, to those who are good, and to those who are righteous in their hearts. Righteousness starts from in your heart, and it bubbles out. Those that turn aside to their crooked ways, the Most High will lead away with evildoers. So go ahead, turn aside to your crooked ways, warlords and warmongers. Go ahead and turn away from your righteousness and go into your wrongness and your crooked ways. Because guess what? The Most High will lead away the crookedness, the wickedness is going to be led away with the evildoers. They're going to be gone, led away. And then the psalm ends with, peace be upon Israel. I'm going to translate that. Love be upon Sudan. Love be upon Sudan. Love be upon Ethiopia. Love be upon these countries that are being raped and savaged by the wickedness. Love be upon Sudan. Okay? Love. Because peace is the diploma you get in the graveyard. Rest in peace. Don't tell me peace. I don't want peace in the Middle East. I want love in the Middle East. Love. Once love is in people's hearts, they're not going to be wicked and greedy for land and money and domination. So stop it. Stop it. Stop this peace upon Israel. I told you all already, the Bible was written to nation build. To nation build. And many people, Christians, was killing other people to nation build. Look at what happened to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were cast in the fire by people who were supposed to be righteous, but they reached out their hand to wickedness. They reached out their hand to wickedness. And this is what happened to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and the people who crucified Jesus. They were, hailing Jesus, but they crucified him the same way. They reached out their hand to wickedness. So don't do that. Stop judging people. Stop judging people. You are not the judge, jury, and executioner of a person. Leave them to the Most High. I'm not talking to anyone out there when I'm talking about wicked people. Okay? If you are perpetuating wickedness, then you need to self-examine. You need to self-examine. Self-examine. May the meditation of my heart and the words of my mouth be acceptable in your sight. In the name of the Most High. Karamawe, Haile, Selassie Karamawe, Jah Rastafari. Bless the names of Jesus, Jehovah, Yeshua, Jesus, Black Jesus. We don't want your white Jesus. We don't. We don't. We don't want your white rice. We don't want your white flour. We don't want your white sugar. We don't want your white salt. We don't want it. Okay? It's been tainted. It's been corrupted. We don't want it. You enslaved Africans out of Africa and gave them Jesus as a mantra so you can keep them in control. Now, we know that there was an anti-literacy law in Georgia, meaning that you could not be taught to read if you had the color of my skin. You could not be taught to read. It was illegal. Okay? It's the anti-literacy law. I can't believe that they had such a thing. This tells you, it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. So let's go into the word of the day. Let's go into the word of the day. And please subscribe to this channel so you can get notifications, because I'm coming in hard. And a lot of stuff that I have to speak on is it's not politically correct to talk about the oppression of Black people in the US of A and in Africa, where that's their country, that's their nation, but they're suffering. And we in the US, we're so far apart from it, we don't know it. The media is not talking about it. Okay? So we have to be vigilant. So let's look at the word of the day. The word of the day is prepare. We have to prepare, preparing our mind and our heart for righteous renewal. We have to be renewed, okay? And that's why, in the US, certain ones don't want to call Selassie, that is an Amharic word, means power of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. That's what it means. They refuse to call that because they've been given a lie. They've been told that Africa is just a jungle where people they're not doing, Africa has been painted as this dark continent when it was the first cradle of civilization where the Most High put himself, okay, there. He put himself there, and out of him came all these ones. So that's why we look at the female as very powerful, because that is the creator. That female created that's why we have a patriarchal society today, because it's countering the reality and the truth that a female is the creator of the universe. And it's not being dogmatic or preachy about it because I'm a woman. It's the reality that is who births anything, is a woman. So the birthing of the universe was a woman. I could see a visual painting of a woman, and the stomach is, the earth, the star, all of this stuff is coming out of this woman, birthing all of this. And because it's so beautiful, the Most High is like, let me come to one of these planets, Earth in particular, where, I'm going to plant, my people. And they're going to be fruitful and multiply, and it's going to be, heaven on earth. It didn't happen that way. Things went amiss. We have, wickedness. And that wickedness was part of the righteousness. Okay, chanting in the spheres, and that wickedness was jealous. I don't know how jealousy and envy came into being, but it came into being with that one wanting the adoration and adulation and the falling at their feet. They wanted that when they saw that with the Most High. Yeah, that one is the evil one. And that's what the Psalm talks about, the evildoers. They all want for themselves. But the Most High is different. The Most High sacrifices his only son for the world, right? That's the story. That shows that the Most High is righteous and not wicked about the Most High self. And that is what the evil one is about. And in the world we live in, it's become that. The evil one has infiltrated into the world a sense of self. We talk about self-care, but we don't talk about caring for others. Yes, we have to care for ourselves, make sure our mask is on before someone else we can help. Charity begins at home. It's always written that way. So we have to be good in order for others to be good. And how we are going to be good is not on the backs of other people. We're not going to be good by taking from someone else. That is not the way. And that's how wars are, perpetuated. One person wants self-care and they want to take it from someone else. And this is what's happening. So prepare. Prepare is our word today. Prepare. So on this 13th of February, prepare is our word of the day. Preparation is essential to any activity. I righteous preparation leads I to find a quiet place, focus I thoughts on the Most High within, not without, within, and clear and open I mind to divine inspiration. I love that. I receive it. Please receive it too. For many, today is a day of celebration before the beginning of the Lenten season. A perfect time to practice releasing that is no longer needed. Okay? What are you going to release that's no longer needed? Stop eating meat. Stop eating white sugar, white flour, white bread, white rice. Stop it. Eat the way Jesus ate. Okay? What did Jesus say? Man cannot live by bread alone. When people's bodies is so where their body starts to growl, they go and feed it, right? You're feeding the monster. After hearing about this man's experience in Sudan, I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat dinner. I just went to rest at 7 p.m. That's my bedtime. And I couldn't eat. And it made me realize that I cannot live by bread alone, but by the words, every word that comes out of the mouth of the Most High. So in this word of the day, today is a day for living, giving, loving, and growing. As I celebrate, I preparing for renewal. So what are you going to renew? What are you going to release? Release and renew. Release and renew. I commit to being open and receptive, listening quietly as I speak to God, as I speak to the Most High. Because that's what pray is, speaking to the Most High. So instead of using pray, P-R-A-Y, speak to the Most High. Chant to the Most High. Speak to the Most High. I prepare for Lent as I let the speaking to the Most High of I heart be those of love, and gratitude. I life overflows with serene anticipation and quiet joy. So that is the word of the day, prepare. It's a great one. And it's supported by Psalm 23, verse 5. Psalm 23, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I love that psalm. It's supported by verse 5 of Psalm 23. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. So that is Psalm 23, verse 5, that is supporting the word of the day, prepare. And that is our Chant A Psalm today. We're finishing in good time, 44 minutes here. Usually it's longer than that, is an hour. So I thank you for joining me on this Chant A Psalm A day. It is, I'm glad that I have the life inside of me to share this Psalm of the day with everyone that is tuning in. Subscribe to this channel, as I said, so you can get notifications of my videos that I'm going to be posting live. I go live every rise, and I may go live today again, or maybe not. You have to subscribe to find out. Okay, so subscribe to this channel and you get lots of information about righteousness, love, kindness, and how to get out of depression and anxiety. If you're feeling depressed and you're feeling anxious about something that hasn't happened, this is the place to come to. Every rise, I come on and I share the psalm and I share the word as an upliftment, as a upliftment for myself, but also for those out there who may be going through doubt that there is a God, or doubt that there is, goodness still left in you. Yes, there is. And when you look at, yourself and your life, you have to look at yourself and your life and ask, what is your purpose? We all have a purpose. We all have something that we can give of ourselves. So finding out what is your purpose is part of Chant A Psalm A Day. You will find your purpose when you find God, Jah, Selassie, Jesus, however you want to call that, a beautiful creator. That is your relationship. That's your, if you want to call the creator Dada, Papi, however you want to call that, that's your relationship. That is your relationship, and no one has the right to tell you how to serve the Most High. As long as you're serving in righteousness and goodness and kindness and love and compassion and mercy, right? You're not out here hurting people. So when you're hurt, you need to talk to God, talk to the Most High. Don't hurt someone because you're hurt. It's not going to produce anything good when you hurt someone because you're hurt. So I want to you to listen really quickly.
War, disease, poverty, and disaster.
I'm not going to show you the pictures.
2023, a harrowing year for the people of Sudan. 7 months ago, on April 15, boiling tensions between factions of Sudan's army spilled into all-out violence. War between the military and the rapid support forces broke out in the capital, Khartoum, but swiftly spread across the nation to the Darfur. Hundreds of civilians were killed in the first months of the conflict, and thousands have been displaced.
It's heartbreaking what is happening in Sudan. In spite of successive ceasefires, and they keep making these arrangements, we see that they get observed in their breach almost within hours after these arrangements are signed. We see how civilians continue to be exposed to serious risk of death and injury.
On May 6, peace talks between the factions were held in Jeddah, along with envoys from the United States and Saudi Arabia. Both the army and RSF have agreed to multiple ceasefires, and then consistently violated them.
Our preferred path is the path of the negotiation that we have in Jeddah, and we are optimistic that they will achieve a positive result.
Peace initiatives have proved slow and inadequate, with limited political commitment to end the crisis. The focus has instead turned to delivering humanitarian aid to the thousands of civilians suffering from shortages of food, water, and medicine. The United Nations estimates that up to 9,000 people have been killed since April, while about 5.6 million have been forced to flee their homes, 1.2 million of them across international borders.
We had to forcibly leave the country. I left with my baby, who were actually at that time only 10 months old. And we had to leave everything, everyone behind, even my husband.
A UN report indicates more than 50 million people are facing hunger and outbreaks of disease, including cholera. The World Food Programme says food aid for more than 500,000 refugees who have fled from Sudan to Chad will run out next month without extra funding. In Al Jazeera state, where the WFP have been providing aid to more than 800,000 people, food assistance was suspended as RSF troops made headway in the region.
We really need an urgent funding for this crisis. It's urgent because we need time to purchase the food, to bring the food on the site, to bring the food at the border, and to make sure the people will get at least a meal a day,
And with the spreading war forcing more Sudanese into desperation, that support is more critical than ever. Yusuf Sosar, TRT World.
So this is what's happening.
Have been killed since April.
And I wanted you to hear it for yourself because I like to reference what I'm speaking on. And I'm not just speaking just to be speaking. I'm referencing this because it's important for people to know what is going on in these countries. In these countries, it's important for us to know. Okay? So share this video, like this video, make a comment. You can also subscribe to this channel where you can get updates as to when I'm going to be coming on to speak. We will keep on speaking about Sudan. Every single chance I get, I will speak about it. I wondered why there were so many Sudanese in this area where I'm at, and that's the reason. So I got my answer, and now I know what I need to do. So thank you so much. I will keep on chanting a psalm a day, and a chant a psalm a day keeps the devil away, because the devil doesn't like you chanting to the Most High. The devil wants it for himself. The devil wants you to praise him, to do that. So that's why the devil has infiltrated himself into the NFL football. That's a distraction. Valentine's Day, another distraction. All these U.S. holidays is how the devil infiltrated himself to be given the adoration instead of the Most High, giving it to the Most High. The devil infiltrated himself through birthdays. It's a birthday. It's your birthday, not the mother who birthed you. You don't acknowledge that, but you acknowledge you. You came out of your mother by yourself, and you have a birthday. No, this is how the devil infiltrates into our psyche to distract us from giving the adoration and adulation and the worship to the Most High. The devil wants that worship. He wants you to worship football and want you to worship all these things of the world. So when these things get taken away, you're going to know your heart. You're going to know what your heart is. Now YouTube is saying my message is held for review because I'm talking about that, right? So when we look at, what's being controlled out there in the world is being held for review again. So we have to be vigilant, and I'm going to stay vigilant because the devil is sneaking his way into our society, has snuck in these different ways. And we end up worshiping all these things of the world. That's why my message is held for review, because I ban the NFL. I ban all these people, all these organizations that are making money, and people are dying and suffering, and people don't have food, people don't have shelter, people are suffering. But guess who's making all the money? The NFL, the Super Bowl. I have nothing against Usher. I even looked at his performance to see it. But we are being distracted by these things. We're being distracted by celebrities. That's why they're there. The devil has infiltrated himself into these things so that we can give the praise to him, to these things that he is in. on the outside of us. So it's very important that we realize what we are worshiping. Are we worshiping food? Are we worshiping drugs? Are we worshiping these things in the world that we put over, the Most High? Fast and talk to the Most High. Fast and talk to the Most High. So thank you for joining this Chant A Psalm A Day. This message that I'm having is held for review. YouTube is going to review it, I guess, whatever. But there is a war in Sudan. YouTube cannot deny that. All right? So thank you so much for joining us. This, the news caption was from TRT World, and it's a Turkish public broadcast service out of Turkey. It's a Turkish public broadcast service. It is not a U.S. media service. They're not going to show you this about Sudan, but they're going to show you about Ukraine. When I ordered packages, I had these Ukraine stickers in there. It's like, okay, that's fine, but what about Sudan? The same thing happened when Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. Those people were forgotten. But if they were white folks, they wouldn't have been forgotten and put in a Superdome, just left there to die. That wouldn't have happened. So our society is white supremacy to the hilt. And even Black people are under the influence of white supremacy, as you see in these countries in Africa with the fighting and the war. They're doing what the white supremacists want them to do, okay? The evilness. So thank you for joining, and do have a blessed day. This has been Chant A Psalm A Day.